Here in America, the half-ton truck segment continues to be the most popular and the most lucrative. Between the big three, Ford, GM, and FCA, sales reach nearly 3 million units every year. Now, if you're looking in the media for news on the half-ton segment, chances are you're going to find a plethora of information on electric trucks and how they're coming in the next 2 to 3 years. However, what if you needed to buy a new truck today? That's where the half-ton diesel comes into play, and Ram was one of the first manufacturers to reignite the flame into this segment with the Ram EcoDiesel introduced back in 2013. Now, as you guys know, the Ram got a full redesign about 2 years ago, moving on to a new platform, introducing new powertrains, introducing an interior that has the largest touchscreen in the segment. And for 2020, they are reintroducing the EcoDiesel engine. It's a 3-liter V6 diesel that offers the best-in-class torque and the most range out of all of the half-ton trucks. So the big question I want to answer, if you guys are looking to buy the ultimate half-ton truck today, how does the all-new Ram EcoDiesel stack up? That's what we're here to find out. So claiming that the new Ram has the most luxurious cabin in the truck industry is a pretty bold one. And I promise we'll come back to the interior later on in the video. This limited grade really will showcase that. But the big story here for this 2020 version that I've driven, because there aren't really any changes, is the return of the EcoDiesel. The diesel model has been gone for a couple years since this new one came out. It was the Ram that reignited the flame to diesels in the half-ton lineup. And even though electric trucks are what people are talking about right now, 2020 is the year of the diesel. Under the hood of the Ram EcoDiesel, I'm gonna let you guys hear what it sounds like really quick. And you can tell it definitely sounds like a diesel. However, the modern diesel is just so much more quiet and more refined these days, and it's also very clean emissions. And the beauty about the Ram EcoDiesel is they've completely redesigned this engine. Of course, it's still built in Italy. It's a Fiat engine, and it still displaces 3 liters. It has a turbocharger, of course, helping it build more power, and it makes about 20 more horsepower this year, now producing 260 horsepower. However, torque is up about 60 pound-feet. It makes 480 pound-feet of torque, and this has the most torque in the diesel segment, the half-ton diesel segment. As you guys know, Ford just introduced a diesel in the F-150, and GM just introduced it in the Silverado, although the Chevy and GMC has an inline 6. This is still a V6 configuration. Now, the thing about the diesel and the Ram is you can get the diesel engine in all the trims. Some of the other manufacturers will limit you on the trim lines, so Ram kind of doesn't do that. You can get it on all the different versions, and the Ram EcoDiesel tows the most in terms of the rest of the segment. This tows a maximum of 12,560 pounds. That's roughly 1,000 to 3,000 pounds more than the competition, and Ram says you can haul about 2,000 pounds in the bed. So this has the most towing and payload capabilities in the segment. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission that's built by ZF. Although the Ram has excellent towing, its transmission is down about 2 gears compared to the Ford and the GM vehicles, which have a 10-speed transmission. Now, fuel economy, that's always the big news with a diesel. Ram says this truck with 2-wheel drive will get up to 32 mpg on the highway. The 4-wheel drive version will get 21 in the city and 29 on the highway. That's the best in class for the highway rating, which is pretty good numbers considering how big this truck is, and it weighs around 5,700 pounds. Now, of course, with more horsepower and torque, Ram says you'll have improved performance. This should get to 60 in roughly 7.5 seconds. So out of the entire Ram lineup, the EcoDiesel has the most torque. We're talking nearly 500 pound-feet of torque. And even though the horsepower isn't all that much, that delicious torque is what allows you to do this when you put your foot down on the highway. And again, it's not gonna blow you away with power. It's not gonna shove you back in the seat, you know, the way that the upcoming TRX Ram could be with the Hellcat engine. But this engine is very effortless, it's very smooth. In fact, FCA has been working very hard at improving the noise, vibration, harshness of this engine. It's built in Italy, as you guys know. It's a Fiat designed engine. And although a lot of you are probably wondering how's the reliability of this thing, I can't comment on that. I know that the Ram has been out for a little over a year, and some owners have reported problems with the large Uconnect screen. All I can say is this has the most torque in the segment. It has a smooth shifting 8-speed automatic. It gets really good gas mileage. In my week's worth of testing, I've been averaging 23 miles to the gallon, and that's just phenomenal MPG for something that weighs, 5,700 pounds, that's 82 inches wide, that's 233 inches long. This is a big vehicle with the aerodynamics of a brick, and the engine moves out the truck really nicely. Now we'll come back to the acceleration and power of this truck and how it drives later on in the video. The Ram, when it first came out last year, I was a pretty big fan of the looks, although I will say that I think the GMC Sierra is probably my favorite in terms of the best looking truck. This 2020 version that I'm driving has a new black appearance sport package. When you pair it with the limited trim, it's one handsome looking truck. Okay, so the Ram was fully redesigned for 2019, so as you can expect, the 2020 version looks the same as the 2019 version that I showed you a couple years ago. However, you should know that this one here is the fully maxed out limited grade. So this is the most expensive and most luxurious Ram truck you can buy. It also has an option package called the Black Appearance Package, which is new for 2020. It's about $4,000 extra, and you can only pick it in this shade of black. I was really hoping that Ram would offer it in like white or red to show the contrast, but basically the Black Appearance Package blacks out the grille. It gives you this unique grille. It body colors and paints everything. It gives you these black 22-inch wheels, which I'll show you in a moment. But the limited version includes the upgraded full LED headlights, which are the same headlights that you're gonna find on the Laramie Longhorn. Every Ram will come with full LED headlights, but these are the matrix design LEDs. You also get LED fog lights down there. You have these nicely integrated parking sensors, the tow hooks as well. This is a pretty badass looking truck. However, I will say, in my opinion, I think the GMC Sierra looks better, but this does look better than the F-150. With the black package, I really like the way this looks. I just wish that Ram would offer it in a white or a red exterior color. Now, moving around the side, you can see this is a big truck. This is technically the shorter bed version. So this is offered obviously in like a crew cab, a regular cab configuration, extended cab. This one here has the shorter 5.5-foot bed. So it's around 233 inches long, and its wheelbase is around 144.5 inches long. So this is about the same size as the Chevy and the Ford and the GMC trucks. The wheels on this particular one here, probably my favorite feature about the truck, it's got 22-inch wheels riding on massive 285/45 width tires. Now, I wouldn't want to take this particular one off-road, but the wheels look very nice. So if you're planning to keep this truck out on the road, this is one of the options you're going to want to pick. The Ram continues to be the only half-ton truck in the segment with an air suspension. Now, of course, that's going to be limited to the higher end trims, and the air suspension will give you the ability to raise the truck up and down about 3 inches, and it will give you the best ride quality in the business. So no other truck continues to offer that. Now, you're probably noticing the bed on this particular one here has this really cool Ram box. Now, this is an extra $1,000. What it does is it gives you this lockable storage area where it also gives you a power outlet on the driver's side. And you can actually use this as a cooler as well. There's these drains down here, so you can put ice in it and store your drinks to keep them cold and then drain it, or you can store your tools in here. It's a pretty nifty option, probably worth it if you guys really, plan to do a lot of work outside of your truck. Now, of course, looking at the rear of this truck, you can see the design hasn't changed. The black package also blacks out the badges. You still have that sport dual exhaust system, which is black painted again. So if you really want your truck to be black, this option package is one that you're going to want to tick. Now, in terms of the bed, GM, of course, introduced the multi-pro tailgate on the Sierra. Ram has countered that with a multi-function tailgate. Now, it's very similar to what GMC does. However, Ram's is a tad more simplified. Now, in the GMC, you can open it up in like 6 different ways. There's basically 3 ways on the Ram. So you can open up the tailgate the traditional way, of course. It also is a damped tailgate, which is nice. Or if you want, you can close this and you can push the lower button here on this side, and this will open up the tailgate in 2 different portions. You can also open up the other side here, which basically allows you to kind of get into the bed and pull something out of here so it's not in your way. So this is very similar to what GMC does. However, it only opens up in 3 ways versus six ways, which some of you may say, well, the GMC is better, but I would say that this is a lot more simplified, although I do think the tailgate looks a little bit silly when it is closed up. Ram says that when you have the tailgate down, this will actually hold a maximum of 2,000 pounds on this actual part of the tailgate. The bed itself, the payload capacity is around 2,040 pounds. Now, as you can see, I wanted to show you guys the inside of this bed because this one here has the tonneau cover, which obviously allows you to cover up your stuff. But because of the Ram boxes in here, it does make the bed a little bit more narrow. So keep that in mind if you guys regularly haul, 4x8 sheets of plywood. It may not fit in this truck bed because of the Ram boxes, which do take up space. This one here also has a spray and bed liner, which is nice for an extra $1,000. I'd highly recommend that if you plan on actually putting stuff in the bed. So as much as I like the black appearance package, I do wish that Ram would offer this package in other colors. I mean, yes, the black on black on black is what some people really want, but I would have liked to see Ram offer this in white, offer it in red. I think it would have also gone really well with the black appearance package. The 22-inch wheels also look very good, but this is not the one that you're going to get if you want, to get the best off-road capability. But you can't combine the FX or the off-road package or the sport appearance package, so you have to kind of pick and choose. Now let's come back to this interior, because as you can see at a glance, this interior will surely wow you if you guys haven't seen a lot of these newer half-ton trucks. The Ram still has the largest infotainment system in the business at 12 inches. It still has an interior that is just so luxurious in its furnishings. It's just trimmed so incredibly well, and this limited trim really takes it up to the next level. So finally, we get into the interior of the Ram 1500 Limited. And this is actually the first time that I've been in the limited trim. I tested the Laramie Longhorn about 2 years ago and was pretty blown away. This has kind of its own unique theme to the interior. Now, first things first, I want to get inside and shut the door. It has a relatively solid sounding thunk. This is a new platform that they introduced a couple years ago. Let me start it up. It's pretty hot out here. It's nearly summertime in the DC area. Now, this interior at a glance can be a little bit overwhelming. A lot of people can kind of get in this interior and think, wow, there's a lot going on in here. However, when you start examining things, there's actually a fairly good amount of tech in here that is fairly easy to understand as well. This 12-inch tablet is optional. Ram says that they basically build or sell as many of these as they can build. It's a very high demand option. An 8.4-inch screen is probably what you're mostly gonna find, but this is the one where it goes in a portrait style and it's 12 inches. This is still the largest display that you're gonna find in the industry. As you can see here, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is included. It looks very nice. This is a very high quality looking resolution. And the funny thing about this infotainment system is it's about to be replaced. This is Uconnect 4. It's technically their older system. FCA has Uconnect 5 ready to go. It'll be launching later this year. The Chrysler Pacifica will be the first vehicle to get the Uconnect 5 system. I'm sad to report, however, if you guys buy this truck today and you buy Uconnect 4, FCA told me that you can't actually update it. So it's actually a hardware update as opposed to a software update. So sadly, if you guys have Uconnect 4, you're stuck with it. However, when you go to Uconnect 5, it will include things like over-the-air updates, which will keep the infotainment system fresh. However, if you're stuck with Uconnect 4, it's still a very good system. Let me come back to this in just a moment. This limited grade version will seriously give luxury sedans a run for their money. I mean, check out this cabin. Everything is leather stitched. There's real genuine wood. There's real aluminum metal trim, lots of piano black plastic. The entire dash has genuine stitching here, which is just absolutely beautiful. I also love this dark colored matte finish wood grain with the pinstriping in here. It just looks very upscale. You can see there's a nice little storage area over there, which is nice and damped and lined with felt. The door panels also have the same leather stitching. There's metal speaker covers in here. This particular one has a 19-speaker Harman Kardon sound, which is, for me, probably the best sounding stereo in the half-ton segment, which is going to cost you a pretty penny, of course, if you guys want this fully loaded model. The one thing about this truck I'm surprised it does not have is a powered tilt and telescoping steering wheel. That's one option that I wish that Ram would have included. It would have been nice to get. Some competitors will offer that, of course. The steering wheel itself has that same wood grain, the leather stitching. It's got buttons here, of course, for your cruise control, to control the display in the center stack, which I'm surprised, by the way, that the display here is not an all LCD display. It's got a 7-inch display, of course, in the center, but traditional analog gauges. You'll know this is the diesel, of course, from the low Redline. It also has a DEF fluid gauge as well, so you basically have to refill that every time you get an oil change in this truck. The gear selector is over here. It's just a rotary dial. Your 4-wheel drive system is pretty simple buttons. If you want to go to reverse, you can see you have a full 360 camera with parking sensors, which is nice, although I really wish that Ram would have had this take up the entire screen. You can see there's so many different views that Ram gives you. You can even see just the backup camera if you'd like. So the resolution is probably one of the better ones in the industry that I've seen. This is way nicer than what Ford is putting in the current F-150. So Ram, again, has the best tech in the business still. Now, of course, going down over here, you can see there are several buttons over here for your climate control system, for your defrost over here, actual hard buttons, which is nice. And then Ram gives you 2 knobs here. You got your volume knob and your tuning knob. And then down here, you can kind of customize this screen to show several different sources, which is nice. I also really like how Ram allows you to, customize things here and there. So I would like to see them eventually take up the entire screen with CarPlay, although I imagine this is probably limited by Apple. It may not be necessarily limited by FCA and their infotainment system. Down here, you can see all your usual sources. You can kind of customize this how you're liking. You can also go to apps here, and this will show you all your different apps. You can also adjust this kind of like your smartphone or tablet, where you can interchange the apps and make them different orders, of course, if you'd like. These toggles over here control the parking sensors front and rear. You've got your tow haul mode. You can also raise and lower the air suspension in this truck from this little dial, or from this toggle, which is nice. It's the only truck in the business to offer that. Over here in the center console, you can see it's very deep. You've got your wireless phone charger over here. You've got 2, or actually 4 USBs. There's 2 USB-C charging ports. A lot of storage down here, an actual power outlet down there as well. So you can get a lot of work done in this truck. I also love this sliding center console, which gives you the cup holders, and you can kind of close this up if you guys don't want to have anything showing over there. This lid here, of course, has the limited badge embroidered in it. It's got these interesting stitching over here, which kind of looks like a stingray. And then if you open this up, you can see even more storage down here, which offers this really interesting looking graphic here, which is kind of like what Jeep does. FCA likes to put a lot of Easter eggs in here to make their interiors seem a little bit cooler. So it's pretty cool if you guys like some of that stuff. The rest of this cabin here, however, feels really open and airy. I mean, I can't even reach the other side without really leaning over here, which is nice. And then above me, for an extra $1,500, Ram offers this large panoramic sunroof, which may be one of the largest ones in the industry that I've seen. So overall, it feels very much like a luxury vehicle, but what I'm mostly impressed with is the technology and the level of space that this truck offers. So as good as the front seats are, and trust me, these seats are comfortable, the ride is really good, there's so much room in here. The Ram continues to have the most spacious back seat in the segment, and it will really give a lot of minivans and SUVs a run for its money, as long as you don't need a third row. Now, the back seat of the Ram is really where you're going to want to sit, because Ram says you get around 45 inches of legroom back here. 45 inches, that's actually a couple inches more than what you get in the front. So this offers like limousine-like back seat space. Now, of course, with any other pickup truck, it offers a fairly good amount of versatility. You can fold these seats up, and it reveals some nice storage underneath the seats, although there's no lockable or hidden storage. Some competitors do offer that, but it's fairly easy to kind of get this seat up and down. So as you can see as well, the truck is 82 inches wide, which means once you get back here, there is literally enough room for 3 people to spread across in here. And there's not very many vehicles that allow you to actually sit 3 full-size adults across, but Ram and of course most of the other trucks will allow you to do that. As you can see, getting back here, there's just a crap ton of space back here. I could literally get comfortable and really just enjoy myself. And you can also slide the seats forward a little bit, and it allows you to recline. So I'm really impressed. This has the most space in the half-ton segment. This is already a very roomy segment. Now, a couple of other things that you're going to notice: there's actually heated and cooled seats back here. This is the only half-ton truck that offers heated and ventilated seats in the second row, which is nice. You can see there's also 4 USB chargers, an actual power outlet. There's rear seat air vents back here. In terms of the materials, they didn't skimp out back here as well. You have full leather stitching across the door panels, although not on the lower part of the door panel, which would have been nice. And then if you fold this down here, you can see there's a nice wide armrest with a little bit more storage as well, with more cup holders. So really, the back seat, even if you guys are coming from a family SUV, these half-ton trucks offer a lot of space, but the Ram offers the most. So yes, that is one of the reasons why a lot of Americans are buying up these full-size SUVs and using it as your primary family vehicle, because they have, quite frankly, a just ridiculous amount of backseat room. And it's probably another reason why these half-ton trucks are so appealing, because the compact trucks, they just aren't as spacious on the inside, even if you guys go for the the biggest crew cab versions of those trucks. This new Ram offers so much space. It offers such an incredibly comfortable ride quality. It still continues to be the only truck in the segment with a full-on air suspension, which allows you to raise and lower the truck. It's on coil air springs, so it's very, very comfortable. The ride quality in this truck is just unbelievable. I feel like I'm sitting in like a luxury sedan. It rides so damn smoothly. It's such a good controlled ride. Even though I don't have anything in the back, the Ram glides down the road with a level of luxury that you just didn't expect in the pickup truck segment. It's one of the reasons why I personally think the Ram is one of the most luxurious offerings. It is the luxurious offering until, you know, Ford retaliates with the next generation F-150, until GMC fixes the interior in their Sierra, and of course Chevrolet and the Silverado. Of course, we've got the new, you know, Rivian truck coming out soon, the Tesla truck. The Ram definitely will appeal to a lot of people. It's just such a really engaging, luxurious, special feeling truck that is only amplified with this diesel engine. Now with an extra 20 horsepower and around 60 more pound-feet of torque for this new third generation EcoDiesel V6, the Ram with this powertrain, which I sampled by the way in the Jeep Wrangler, which I was blown away. This is a considerably bigger and heavier vehicle. So it gets to 60 in around 7.5 seconds. It is, quite frankly, a lot quicker feeling when you're actually behind the wheel versus when you're looking at the numbers. The 8-cylinder Hemi is obviously quicker than the Ram. It'll get to 60 about a half a second quicker than this. It uses a very smooth shifting 8-speed automatic, which I have very little complaints. Shifts quickly, puts the engine right in the meat of its power band. Responsive transmission, shifts really smoothly as well. The engine itself also has the typical diesel clatter noises that you get. In fact, it's a little bit louder versus the Sierra Duramax that I drove with the inline 6. Obviously this is a V6, it's not an inline 6. But really above, right around 2,500 RPM, you feel that nearly 500 pound-feet of torque. It has more torque than the Hemi V8, and it just shoves you back into the seat with an urgency. And that's what I love about diesels. You don't have to rev them out so much, which is why they get very good gas mileage, which is why they offer so much torque. You don't have to push the engine as hard. They just feel so effortless. And this diesel is really good. Is it better than the inline 6 diesel? I would probably say no, but I really need to drive them back to back because I love the smoothness of the Sierra, although this one does have a more traditional diesel clatter, which some of you may really appreciate. There's a little bit of wheel spin. Remember, this is rear drive until I put it in four-wheel drive or put it in four-wheel drive auto. But yeah, I mean, compared to the Hemi, this engine cost almost $5,000 more expensive. $5,000 freaking more expensive. That's insane. That makes the Ram EcoDiesel's option $2,000 more than the Ford and the Chevy and GMC, which I think Ram has completely overpriced the engine. It does get slightly better gas mileage, as I said. I've been averaging around 23 mpg. On the highway, I took this thing on a long trip and it got nearly 30 miles to the gallon, which is impressive for what this thing is. When you combine that with the optional 33 gallon gas tank, we're basically looking at a fill up of nearly 800 miles between tanks. So that's just really, really impressive. But one thing that I did have to do on this car was refill the diesel exhaust fluid, the DEF fluid. When Ram dropped it off, it was basically at the red mark here on the instrument panel, which said, the car was telling me basically in 450 miles, if I didn't refill it, the engine would refuse to restart. So I went out and I bought some DEF fluid, which was cheap. It was about $4 per gallon. This tank is roughly around 4 gallons, and you have to fill it up roughly every 10,000 miles, although this one only has 1,600 miles on it. So I don't know why it was empty. Maybe it wasn't filled up to the brim when I first got this thing. But other than that small little additional maintenance that you have to do, which usually the DEF fluid is filled up at every oil change interval, there's very little compromises with getting the diesel engine. I mean, the Ram itself is just such a really awesome package. I mean, in terms of visibility, I can see really well out of this truck. Big side mirrors. The hood does bulge up, obviously, but my tester has the full suite of Ram driver assistance tech. You've got adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, pedestrian detection, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. I am missing things like a heads-up display. That would be nice. I kind of wish that Ram would offer something like that. And then in terms of luxury features, the F-150 offers massaging seats. This does not offer massaging seats. So I think that it's missing just that feature. But when you look at the rest of this interior, I mean, look at the screen here. It looks amazing. It's massive. Ram says they basically build as many of these as they can get. The Harman Kardon sound system, as I said, is awesome sounding. 19 speakers, these metal speaker covers, it just brings the Ram up to a new level of luxury. And just this commanding view of the road that you get. With the air suspension, you can raise it up. I mean, I love how Ram feels like the entire package, and that's why last year I said that they raised the bar. This year they continue to hold the bar, but I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to hold that bar, considering we've got all electric trucks coming in the next 2 years. So it's really interesting to see how the industry is changing. But if you guys are looking for, right now, a diesel half-ton truck that tows the most at 12,000 pounds, that carries the most in its bed, the Ram is still definitely the one that you want to look at. So in a segment that sells nearly 3 million units every year, it's an incredibly competitive segment, which is why the big three tend to make changes pretty frequently, especially considering the fact that these trucks are big, expensive. They spend a lot of money into the development of these vehicles. So when I first drove the new Ram about 2 years ago, I was blown away with the overall technology and luxury that this truck gives you. Even after 2 years on the market, it still has the only air suspension you can find in the segment. It still has the only 12-inch display in the segment. And with the addition of that new EcoDiesel powertrain, I have to say, it really transforms this truck into the ultimate daily driver, especially if you guys are looking to get out of something like a Mercedes-Benz S-Class or a BMW 7 Series. This offers more room on the interior. It offers a bed. It offers off-road capability. It offers just badass looks. And in terms of fuel economy, with nearly 800 miles of range, you could drive this thing way farther on a tank of fuel than most trucks, and especially all those electric trucks that are coming, they simply won't be able to match the range that the Ram EcoDiesel offers, even compared to its competitors. Now, the big problem that I have with the Ram has to do with the pricing, because this ain't cheap if you guys want to have the most technology and the most luxury in the segment. The EcoDiesel powertrain cost about $5,000 more versus the base V6. That's a hefty charge. It's about $2,000 more than what the other manufacturers are going to charge you for their diesel powertrains. Now, of course, this limited grade starts at around $56,000. It's the highest trim level you can get, and because it's a Ram, it comes with a crap ton of options, and I've got the Monroney here to help me remember all the options. In total, this truck has nearly $20,000 worth of options on it. Of course, the most expensive one is that EcoDiesel powertrain for $5,000. The black appearance package is $4,000. The limited level 1 equipment group is $2,300. The dual panoramic sunroof is $1,500. You've got small options like the multifunction tailgate. You've got the Ram box, you've got the bed utility group, you've got the paint, which is an extra $100. When you add in the trailer brake controller and the 33-gallon gas tank, this car, with its destination charge for $1,700, stickers for $74,910, which does make the new Ram pretty expensive. This is about $3,000 more expensive than a fully loaded F-150. It's about a couple grand more expensive than a Chevy Silverado. Although I will say the Sierra Denali with the diesel will actually get a little bit more expensive than this, which is just insane. There was a time where you could buy a 3/4 ton truck for about $70,000. So really, all the technology and luxury that these half-ton trucks are including are making them more expensive. But I have to say, if you guys are looking for the ultimate luxury truck today, the new Ram is pretty hard to beat, at least until the electric trucks come to the market in the next 2 to 3 years. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2020 Ram 1500 EcoDiesel. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.